from KwaZulu-Natal. A number of other parties also are going to be campaigning in that province, including Action SA, EFF, the NFP, the IFP, and the Patriotic Alliance, including the ANC. SABC Political News Editor Mzwandile Mbeje now joins us for an overview of this and some of the other political matters in and around the country, of course, as we edge closer to the 29th of May national and provincial elections. Mzwai, good morning. Thank you for joining us at this hour. Yes. So I know you're here to provide us an overview of what we can expect this weekend and also around the country. Let's hone in on KZN at this point. It's coming to the fore. We've seen many parties launching their manifestos, many parties campaigning there this weekend. 20% of the national vote concentrated there. Talk to us about the significance from your vantage point at this point.
Particularly when you look at KZN and Gauteng, so yes, they contribute the largest share in terms of the voting public. But I think what maybe is the issue right now about KZN, there's a sense that is there for the taking.
Yes.
Why is that the case? And then you've seen, should I say the splinter? So the MK, which is shaking things, particularly in that province. And then some of the issues, I mean, the IFP, which for a long time had been struggling, but you have seen some sort of resurgence. And then you saw how the EFF itself in 2019 had a lion's share of the vote there. So the parties feel here is, in inverted commas, the untapped market in terms of the voter share. And I think that's the reason why they're actually going there. And of course, for the ANC, that has been their province, given the current developments. So they realize that their majority is actually in jeopardy. So they better then focus there much. And other parties that are really emerging, so they feel a lot more can be done for them to be able to then increase their national share of the vote. I think they're doing this because, this is national and provincial election. So the more you get votes, the better the chances that your representation, either in the legislature or in the National Assembly, will really increase. So go there where you will really benefit in terms of the actual votes.
You're speaking about the dynamics unfolding, particularly for the ANC. In the past, they had King Goodwill Zwelithini as the AmaZulu leader. You had Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, was also the leader of the IFP, and now Nkosini Hlabisa is obviously taking over. So that must have impacted dynamics for them as well. I'm looking at the top 7 as well nationally in terms of representation. There isn't a KZN vote. I wonder how those dynamics are affecting them. But also if we look at some of the other parties that are on the campaign trail this weekend, what are you observing on that front in terms of the intensity?
Yeah, maybe let's just on the king. I think one thing about the king of the Zulus stays out of politics. You know, one of the things that people don't even know is that the king of the Zulus doesn't even vote, for the simple reason that he wants to be seen as neutral. Because even if your vote is secret, and then if you do go and vote, I mean, it's the two of us, already we know that you've taken the side of either Lizelle or myself. So, and I think that aspect, that's why I think the parties will always try and go to him. But of course, we will be able to make up our minds to say, okay, maybe he's more easy with these ones or those ones. So then coming to the political parties and the political leaders themselves. And I think, as we have been saying, there is a sense that that province, I repeat, is there for the taking by these parties. So if then you have that sense, so then you go in and go in hard.
So break down the regions for us. Ngungu, Ndlovu, eThekwini, you've got the lower South Coast, you've got the General, Gizenga, Mpanza regions. That was active in terms of the intensified campaign.
Yeah. Remember, KZN, you would, the KwaZulu-Natal, you know, the former KwaZulu, which would be more in the north, would be the stronghold of the IFP. And then the so-called the Natal, which will be the kind of like south, like your Durban, Mzwandile, will be the stronghold of the ANC. So that's how so you'd perceive this province. But here is the thing. So with the emergence of MK, for example, which it's in the main the base of the ANC, that then gives a bit of a possibility to parties like the IFP. I mean, let's just make the example of the few by-elections that have happened. So some of those by-elections, if you combine the votes of the MK and the ANC, assuming those people were going to vote the same before the arrival of the MK, I think the ANC would have won if we're deliberately putting them together. But with the fragmentation of that vote, a party like the IFP then feels they have an even bigger chance. So now, what would be the strongholds of the ANC and would be somehow divided, given that the MK, which is mainly in the base. Oh, by the way, the MK does not only eat into the base of the ANC, it is also eating into the other base. Because there are those people who just love former President Zuma and then feel perhaps he could be the person that they can vote for. So you have all those dynamics playing themselves out. So that's the election that will be by-election that will be happening in Mzumbe. Those people were the ANC people, so who were dismissed from the ANC and then who joined MK, and then that intensity is there. So that will then tell you afterwards, even if, let's say, the ANC wins that one, we'll need to see how the IFP does, how the MK does, and that gives you an indication of what is happening.
But I wonder how the idea of coalitions then also plays out if you're saying that KZN is one of the provinces for the taking. I'm looking at, allocation of resources, a transformation, just the sharing of those power dynamics. In terms of interrelations as well amongst these parties, what are we observing and how is this ultimately affecting the national picture?
Yeah, it's actually very interesting because, the ANC and MK is the same people. It's the same people. I mean, it's just the difference in personalities. So you must even see when they campaign, you can see that it's just a matter of differences, which is, by the way, at the moment, that is very good because we haven't seen that rise in terms of tensions where people can't stand each other. And I think it continues in that vein. So where just political differences are just out there, but in a matured way. So that, I guess, that is good for our democracy because they know each other. So they've been there together. So it will be very interesting if no party wins an outright majority. So who will approach who?
Absolutely.
And I think it will be determined by, obviously, the number of seats each party gets.
Because some of the issues that are coming to the fore post the floods, post the July riots as well, infrastructure issues, service delivery, what's coming to the fore for 2024, for KZN at least?
Well, I guess it's not really different from the rest of South Africa, KZN, because, South Africans tend to judge the party based on, even if it's national elections, sometimes local election will determine, or local elections, national elections will determine. I think that's how South Africans
there's a correlation.
Yes, so they will look at how they vote. And I think it's not different with KZN. I mean, I know we've been spending a bit more time on KZN, but also there's other activities happening elsewhere. We have, when we have been doing our analysis in terms of how it will go, you look at KZN, you look at Gauteng, and you look at Western Cape.
Yes.
I know that we have not been talking a lot more about Western Cape, but Western Cape, the DA is not really guaranteed as it used to be in the past. Remember, everyone has been saying the ANC, it was a walkover. So currently, given the developments that are happening in the Western Cape, so it's not that guaranteed. You have the fact of the matter is that the Israeli-Gaza Middle East question is impacting, and then that vote in the Western Cape that has always been voting for the DA. We are not saying they are not going to vote for the DA, but certainly some of them will not. And then you have the new parties, like the Patriotic Alliance, well, not necessarily new, but parties that are actually eating into some of the base there. So clearly, you look at Western Cape, you look at Gauteng, and you look at KZN, quite interesting. We are not discarding other provinces, but these ones, there's something to be paid to in terms of particular attention.
So we're measuring possibilities and probabilities, and we obviously bring you the latest coverage on the SABC. You're managing that. Thank you for your time at this hour. We'll leave it there for now. All eyes, of course, will be on KZN this weekend. It's become one of the battlegrounds for the Control the Province as that heats up. SABC Politics Editor Mzwandile Mbeje really just providing us an overview of this and some of the other matters politically around the country.